Welcome to Make Your Money Matter with Brad Barrett, the show that aims to change the way you think about wealth management. Brad is a financial advisor, established radio host, and author of Retire Right. He is a managing director and partner at One Capital Management, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm managing over $4 billion for clients across the nation. Brad and his team are dedicated to helping clients protect and preserve their assets so they can reach their investment and retirement goals. And now, your host of Make Your Money Matter, Brad Barrett.
Hey, welcome into the Make Your Money Matter show. I'm your host, Brad Barrett. Hey, first and foremost, I want to apologize to all of our weekly listeners. I know we're behind a few weeks, and it's for no other reason than we're actually building a new studio. We're very excited about it, but as you can probably imagine, it's created some operational and organizational changes here as we try to figure out where to record. So I do apologize we've taken a few weeks off, but we are back. And with that, I've had some time to think. And, you know, when I do that, because sometimes it can be a dangerous thing, and I've had a lot of review meetings and finish up my first quarter, and there was a little bit of a pattern I was seeing, and I kind of wrote a list down that I wanted to share with everybody. And particularly this list has to do with habits. And many of you know I'm a big believer in the behavioral psyche of how we look at things, especially something as important as our money. And these 5 habits I'm going to bring up to you, I think are keeping us broke. Now, it's a dramatic statement, but these 5 habits I want to discuss today on our show are items that are likely hindering your success with your money. So stay tuned, but before we get started, to find out more about myself or any one of our fiduciary and credentialed and experienced advisors here at One Capital Management, you can go to our website at onecapital.com. You can click on the media tab and you can download the Make Your Money Matter show. You can also download the podcast on any other platform, whether it's Spotify or SoundCloud or the Apple iTunes app on your phone. And do us a favor, leave us a review, give us a comment. It helps us share the show with others. And with that, let's get started. So in writing and kind of creating this show this week, I came across something that's interesting. And I don't know about you, but I feel like on my iPhone, on the calendar, every day is some other new awareness day. But April 25th, last week, was the Financial Independence Awareness Day. I don't know if you knew that. I didn't. But hey, we're going to talk about it, okay? So when we talk about financial independence and awareness, one of the best things I've been seeing over the past 20 years of being a financial advisor is we are talking more about our money stuff, issues, problems, concerns, whatever. We're just talking about it. And that's a good thing. So as I mentioned at the top of the show, today's show is about 5 habits, particularly habits that I think hinder us from true growth with our money. A lot of times we're going to feel like this world will tell us that we're not smart enough to manage money or this, that, and the other. And the reality is it's not about intelligence, it's about discipline. That's why I always share with people that what we do as advisors isn't necessarily that we are the smarter people in the room. It's that we are able to take an objective and unbiased approach. Friends, I've shared this story often, but just to reiterate, maybe it's been a few weeks and I want to kind of reconnect with everybody. But my wife and I, Veronica and I, our assets are managed by the same portfolio managers here at my firm at One Capital Management that my clients' portfolio managers, who they're being managed by. And now you might think about like, well, Brad, you know what you're doing. Why would you be doing it for nearly 2 decades? Why would you do that? Because no matter how smart I may think I am, I'm still a human being that has emotions connected to my money. So I use that example simply to say the same reason why I'd be somewhere talking to somebody about why we might be valuable to them. You know, it's not necessarily, and by the way, if you're getting chased on this by someone saying, oh, I earned this last year and that last year. I mean, look, remember to say this statement to somebody who's chasing performance or saying, well, we earned this and we outbeat them by X amount or whatever it is. Be like, that was yesterday, bro. Like, you know, just because you did that yesterday, last week, last month, or last year doesn't mean you're batting 1,000 heading into tomorrow. So, you know, you're only as good as yesterday. So it's like you don't want to chase performance as so much as you want to build a rounded out, holistic, and comprehensive plan that details out a portfolio that's well designed and well structured in order to weather the storms. And we've seen storms. Like you heard me say this all the time, like the one certain thing we're going to have in this life is uncertainty, especially with markets and our money. And these habits I want to bring up to you today are pretty simple. And a lot of these, 1, 2, 3, maybe even all 5 of these, it's going to hit somebody. So I'm speaking to somebody today. So it's important to don't shy away from this. This is not a call out. I've dealt with all of these before, all right? And I'm still dealing with a couple of them, okay? It's a season of life, if you will. But the first one I want to bring up, and this is right on the nose and right out of the gate and very simple for everyone to understand. We spend more than we make. Sometimes I always tell people like the easiest medicine is the medicine that we want to avoid the most. Like we just don't want to be told not to buy that new pair of kicks. We just don't want to be told that we can't go out to dinner on a Friday night and we should cook at home. We just don't want to be told to not buy our Starbucks every day and save the $20 a week or whatever it is. It's just not in our nature to be told that. But what we do instead is we want to, to shift that mindset, if you will, is we want to get intentional with your money. You've heard me say this before, but money is like water. If you don't direct it where to go, it's just going to go wherever it wants. It happens all the time. In fact, many of us are doing it right now. And you're like, well, Brad, no, I have it going here and there. I'm like, if you don't have it directed, if you don't dam it off, you know what I mean? If you're damming off the water sources, it's going to go wherever it wants. So we have to get intentional with your money, create a plan. You want to look at, how you're spending money, right? And acknowledge that there are really only two ways out of this scenario. Let's be fair. You either need to make more money, right? Earn yourself out of your mistakes, or you need to cut back on what you're spending money on. You have two paths. So it's like when someone says you're spending more than you make, you think, oh, I just have to reduce my overhead. Yeah, well, you can also make more money too, but that comes with other pros and cons. So it's really important to detail out a plan to make sure that whatever you're doing right now in cash flow wise is sustainable. So that's number one. Number one is you spend more than you make. Number two is you have like a I'll just wait attitude. And here's what I mean by that. You tell your things like, I'll just wait until my income goes up to save money or to pay off my debt, right? So that's you got to be really careful on that, because it's kind of like someone who says they want to, cash out of their investments and sit on the sidelines during a market disruption or volatile period. It's like, when are you going to get back in? Like, you have to be smart twice, right? You have to know exactly when to get out and then exactly when to get back in. Friends, that's called market timing. Be careful of that. And this whole I'll just wait attitude, you end up finding, and history has shown this, and I can only speak this from experience as well as anecdotally in my own practice, that end of the day, you end up sitting on the sidelines way more, with much more time than you actually anticipated. What I want people to see instead of that, instead of waiting, is you want to start now. People ask me, well, is now the right time? At the end of the day, the easy answer is yes. The answer is yes. But how you do it matters, right? You have to, ask yourself questions like, how much extra can you put towards debt to get it paid off? Is that the right approach? Should I pay off debt first, or should I, invest first? That's a big common question. And that's where snowball or avalanche method planning comes in, something we do for our clients to help you understand what we call arbitrage. If you're paying 8% on debt and your money market's paying you 5%, you want to pay the debt off first because you're losing 3%. Make sense? You're spending on 8 and only making 5. So the reality is you want to make sure you have money working for you. Other questions are like, how much money can you save for your future in retirement plan or in your savings to build an emergency fund? So as you start to see your debt potentially go down and savings go up, it will, I think, inspire you to keep going. So getting some small wins helps with any habitual nature.
Stay connected. Get frequent updates on the show. Follow Brad Barrett and Make Your Money Matter on most social media platforms. And catch full episodes of Make Your Money Matter streaming now on our YouTube channel. To schedule your no-obligation appointment, go to onecapital.com or call 805-410-5454.
Number 3 is taking on too much debt. It's right to dovetail off of number 1 and number 2, quite frankly. Look, debt can be useful. I know that's an interesting statement to make from a financial advisor, but it can be useful. Now, it's changed over the past year or two, let's be fair, right? For many, many years and many years of my career, we were at, and we keep glazing over this word, but artificially low interest rates. Artificially means the government was pumping money into the system to keep rates low. We're now dealing with that ramification right now through inflation, through supply chain issues, through federal rate hikes. We're dealing with that, okay? But for your own household, be careful of taking on too much debt. Taking on too much debt will leave you, more than anything, the habitual feeling, the behavioral science behind it, it'll leave you feeling constantly stressed out about money, like a quicksand that you can never get out of, like you'll never catch up. And so forgetting the money aspect for a second of how much debt to take on, the emotional toll that debt can take is really important to discuss. And if you don't have a financial advisor right now that you're talking about that with, do so. I mean, these are intangible values an advisor can bring to you. Okay. It's being comfortable with someone to talk about things other than just your performance. All right. A lot of these cats going around talking about performance, like they're a one-trick pony, like, and they're only as good as they were yesterday. You want value. You're seeking value, and to pay for someone for that advice too, you want the whole thing. So how do you address number 3 of taking on too much debt? You want to first understand what you can afford. That's a pretty simple statement. Like a mortgage payment or a rent payment really shouldn't be more than 25 to 30% of your household income. That's a good number. Most people don't even know that rule of thumb, by the way. So principal rent payment shouldn't really be more than 25% of your household income. And you look at a vehicle, which every one of us has, right? You want to get a vehicle you can easily afford. Yes, we want leather seats. Yes, we want automatic this and that. Yes, we want the high-end car for whatever status reason, for whatever reason. It is what it is, all right? But understand something from an investment standpoint. A car is a depreciating asset in most cases, meaning it's losing value. So we have to understand when we're investing in something or paying on interest on something, it's also going down in its investment. Unless you're buying a 1968, Stingray or something that's going to increase in value or has at least a holding perspective, it's going to decrease. So we want to make sure we're putting money in the right areas. And yes, a car is a utility, especially in our LA area in particular, right? It allows us to get around. Now in other areas, right, it may not. Like my clients in New York City, I'm like, what are you doing with a car? Go get a Metro card, right? Now, there's a lot of things in a household budget or what I call patterns in a household that really kind of make line items easier for each one of you. But understanding the car you can afford or the bigger assets really will help you not take on too much debt, right? So we want to get something you can comfortably afford and pay it off and drive that as you're building your wealth. And number 4 is, and this is a big one, you don't pay attention to your money, all right? And there's nothing more to be said on that, all right? We just don't. Sometimes we think we do because we're looking at it all the time. We know what's coming in and we know around it, but we're really not paying attention to it. It's like, as a father, I have an 8 and a 6-year-old, right? It's like being outside with my kids and playing with them, but I'm on my phone. Like I feel like I'm paying attention to them or I'm in their presence, but am I really? It's a lot of times what we're doing with our money. And we think we're conscious of it. We know what's coming in and going out. We know what bills are due and when, but are we really paying attention to it? So what I want you to think instead is we want to literally conscientiously put time in your calendar to, let's get romantic with it, friends. Let's have a date with your money, right? And if you have your partner, your significant other, your spouse, right, include them. Getting intentional and doing things each month will help you build, I think, more of a stronger financial future. It's been shown, right? And it could be learning about things that you need to. It could be, tracking how you're spending and saving money. Don't get too down the weeds of that. People get really lost in that sauce a little bit. So be careful there. Even down to tracking your investments. But the best thing you can do is set a quarterly meeting, for example, or a semi-annual at least with your financial advisor. That's the best route to take because that person, if they're doing it right, should have everything for you to kind of encompass and asking the right questions to look forward for the next quarter or the next 6 months. So the big, habits that then keep us broke and hinder us, the 4th one here is we don't pay enough attention to our money. And the last one I want to bring up is not understanding your limiting beliefs around money. I threw this one in here because it's a little more theoretical, but I think most people carry around what I'll call limiting beliefs, right? That hold them captive, right? To negative experiences. Beliefs like I'm not smart enough or I'm not good enough or I'll never have enough money. Here's what I want to share about that. And sometimes I take a more of a human approach to this. Understand something. Something right now that you think you can't do, someone else in this world is literally doing it right now and doing a terrible job. So what I'm trying to say is believe in your excellence as much as that person believes in their mediocrity. You see what I'm saying? So start now, get it going. Don't live by limiting beliefs, especially when it comes to your money. Instead, let's pay attention to what you're telling yourself. Behavioral traits have a lot to do with this, right? Dig in and understand what those limiting beliefs are so you can replace them with positive wealth beliefs for building a strong financial future. And I think this is particularly important, right? For those of us that grew up without money, myself included, right? We have these limiting beliefs that, I came from rags, I'll never have riches. But the rags to riches story is a tale as old as time. So it's important that we make sure we don't limit our beliefs. And last thing I'll say is, no matter what your income is, no matter what your situation is right now, there are things you can do to save for your future. I have never, in my nearly 20 years of being in the financial services industry, found a scenario, no matter what this, and I've seen it a lot. I can never say I've seen it all, but I've seen a ton. I've never found a situation where there wasn't a way out. all right? We live in a beautiful country that allows us a lot of freedom to do things, but you can't always do it alone. And I get that. That's why we have resources out there, whether it's a financial advisor, whether it's a tax accountant for your taxes, insurance professionals, estate planning, whatever it might be. That's important to make sure you build relationships there as well. I want to thank you for listening to the Make Your Money Matter show. As always, before acting on anything discussed today, speak with a financial advisor near you about your specific situation. Or again, if you'd like our help, you can reach us at 805-410-5454 or on our website at onecapital.com. And until next week, always remember to make your money matter.
The information in this show is educational and general in nature and does not take into consideration a listener's personal circumstances. Therefore, it is not intended to be a substitute for specific individualized financial, legal, or tax advice. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a final decision.